Why does the community still remember Hurricane Dog of 1950?
The Elgin Spring Farm in New Haven has been in operation since 1921.
Since the farm was established, 4 generations of Bessettes have run it.
Now Earl and Ramon Bessette own the farm, where Earl has lived for most of his life. At the time of the hurricane, they had just had their first child. The Korean War had just started in June of 1950.
At this time, the drive-in was a popular place to go and watch movies.
Harry Truman was the 33rd president and was in office from 1945 to 1953.
The civil rights movement had just begun in 1950.
On November 25, 1950, Hurricane Dog struck the East Coast with devastating force. Hurricane Dog was more intense than any other hurricane that year, with winds reaching 185 miles per hour.
Took down quite a few barns through here. The one is the first one when you leave New Haven Junction, going down Route 7. That one there went down. The one over here, Lagos, that one went down. Decker's barn went down. Poland's barn over here went down. Wood's barn went down. And then
how did it affect your production of
everything? Whoa.
Yeah.
We milked cows 8 days. We hadn't had electricity here that long, so we were lucky. It'd been 6 years, I guess, when they turned on electricity here. And so we had lanterns and pumps and so on, but not the milk was. We milked by hand 8 days, my father and I.
Fun.
That was a crock. And they give less milk each day because everything was all screwed up. The hay was totally wet because we lost the barn.
Yeah.
The silage, picked the barn up and put it on top of the silo, so it caved it down to where we threw the insulate down, so everything was in a turmoil. Oh, terrible. Like over here to Lagos, it was 20,000 bales of hay in the barn.
Wow.
And they had to remove it to get the barn off the cows, or the cows were dead anyway, or what wasn't dead, a guy went in with a rifle and shot him.
We had water. We had to punch hole in the ceiling to let the water out of the ceiling because it would have just crushed down.
Took the porch right off here.
This
This is gone.
Well, it was an open porch,
It was an
and
open
only a
porch.
roof over it, so it took the roof and yeah.
The shingles are all gone off this side of the house.
One piece of slate came off the house and was driven right into the side of
This house to that barn over there.
Yeah.
It flew that far.
Yeah.
It was there.
Just kept getting worse from 9:30 till 1 o'clock in the morning. 9:30 at night till 1 o'clock in the morning. The wind just kept getting stronger and stronger, it seems. And by 2 o'clock, and what was strange is we had the rain, but then you looked out and you could see up to the neighbor. It was like daylight out there. Not bright daylight, but so that you can see the barn and everything up the road. I remember that part after, it was scary.
The house wall in the kitchen would come in like an inch and a half or so. It'd go boom, and then it let up, and then boom. Never forget that night. We had to buy a lot of feed that year because it spoiled. What was in the barn spoiled it, and I don't think Ramon could live through it. Well, when the wind blows down, she'd go all to pieces.
I was very scared, I know that. In the house, we lost all of our windows in our living room. They didn't blow out, they blew into the living room, so we had glass everywhere that we had to clean up. We lost most of the roofing on our barn, which was pretty scary because it was loud. It was an aluminum roof, and it was blowing all over the yard and everywhere else. And I kept thinking, some of it's going to hit the house, but it didn't. We lost power for, I believe we were out about a week. Luckily we had a gas stove, so we were able to cook our food, but we couldn't, excuse me, we didn't have electricity, so we couldn't pump water or anything. They had to haul some water in. They had to milk all the cows by hand because we didn't have the electricity. A lot of trees and lines went down between the farm we lived on and the other farm that my dad owned, which was, oh, I would say probably 3-4 miles away. They had a hard time getting to that. They lost some roofing on that barn too. Where my husband lives now, they lost quite a bit of the slate roofing on their barn. In fact, the wind lifted the roof up and it moved it about 8-9 inches. So they, once the hurricane was over, they went down with, they took some chain, attached it to one end, and then attached that to some ropes, and were able to slide it back. Luckily, one of our neighbors, his barn blew down, and it killed most of his cows. Very few were saved. Most of the neighbors helped to get out what cows they could, and took out the hay and tried to save what they could, but it was a devastating loss. It was very scary. The wind, I think.